We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Project Shadowbreed Issue 1. This is the 2025 reboot by Indie Creator Comics. This issue was written and created by Justin Bartz, art by Alex Moser, letters by Angel Santiago, edited by Holly-Ann Bartz, and I think the cover was done by Alex Moser as well. The cover's pretty good. It does add a little bit to the book because we really wouldn't know what the werewolf looks like in color because the book's black and white, so that does add a lot of context. So it's okay. It's a pin-up pose, nothing out of the ordinary for modern comics. Not bad. This will be a good time to note that if you notice any fuzziness in the images, that's due to my technical limitations with computers and all of technology. So don't hold that against the art. That is my fault and not reflective of the actual art itself. I thought that was important to note since I can't do the art justice with my limited technological capabilities. So we start off with the Roswell crash in New Mexico in 1947, and some biologics and equipment were recovered. Unfortunately, it looks like the technical aspects of the wreckage may not have been particularly useful, but the DNA from the aliens apparently did prove to be useful. Some mad scientists get a hold of it, and they work for a company called Sintech. Now, the first experiment they did in '89 created a sort of hybrid animal, like a dire wolf kind of thing. It's a mutated thing they called a wolfhound, and that didn't really work out. Years later, they tried again, and this time they were able to get human subjects to test on, but unfortunately only one survived, and they called him Mange. And he turned out to be very unstable and very difficult to control. Now, he is referenced again later in the book, but we don't see anything else of him, although there's probably some good stories they could tell with that guy. So the third effort turned out to work pretty well, and they had multiple survivors. Unfortunately, the team ended up with two alphas, and one of them was not a very good team player, and that's Max Prescott. So they decided to shuffle him off to the CIA and use his werewolf abilities there. So he became sort of a werewolf Jason Bourne. Unfortunately, due to some sabotage, it looks like he may be stuck in werewolf form because there was this incident where he ended up taking a significant amount of damage, but his werewolf healing abilities kicked in, and he seems to be stuck in the sort of halfway point between full-on werewolf and human. So he is pretty creepy looking. Now, unfortunately, of course, that didn't work out for the government, and they wanted to do really bad things. But his teammate Leroy decided to abscond with Max, and they ended up on the road in Seattle fighting criminals. Unfortunately, there seems to be a whole lot of corruption going on in Seattle, and we are only touching the tip of the iceberg because somebody behind the scenes is involved in some other shenanigans. All in all, this is a pretty good first issue. I was really impressed with it. The art is really solid, actually, especially for an indie book. It's got way more detailing than a lot of the mainstream publishers like Dynamite. So some really good action sequences. There's a few panels I would have minor quibbles with, but nothing that won't be corrected over time with more practice. But there's some really good shots in here, some really great panels, and it's actually a really impressive book. I think it's got a lot of potential. I had actually reviewed Volume 2, Issue 1 and Issue 2. Now, Volume 2, Issue 1 has a similar cover, but they're very distinctly different books. And I really enjoyed those books as well. And I was actually really impressed with this overall. I thought it was a great introduction to the characters. It gives you plenty of background, and it sets up a lot of interesting storylines. So I am going to recommend this. I thought it was a pretty fun book with some pretty solid art, and it's definitely a lot better than most of what Marvel's crapping out these days. So be sure and give it a look and see what you think. So links will be in the description on where you can find it. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.